I'm sitting here and I'm making baskets for Mother's Day. And I briefly start to think about a friend and then another friend who used to be friends. And let me pop this up right here. And I think, did this friend, about conversations that I could have had but didn't go there because it's not my place to go there. And I was just thinking that I should have said, we should have asked the friend, did you conduct yourself in a manner basically that was pleasing God to let the other friend know that there was forgiveness there, that you weren't harboring any grudges? But hindsight is 2020. That conversation didn't happen, and they probably wouldn't have been even open for that conversation. So then I began to think about what forgiveness looks like. Replay a video that I had in my head that I watched about Jesus and Judas. And I think we as people, we struggle. We really struggle with forgiveness. We'll say, oh, I've been forgave them. I'm not mad at them. But look at your body language when you talk about them. Look at the tension in your voice when you talk about them. Like, that doesn't scream forgiveness. That ain't giving forgiveness. It's giving, y'all, I have this little line going on my camera. I don't know what it's giving, but it is not giving forgiveness whatsoever. So what is going on? Anyway, I'll put this back. Has a line, and I don't know. It might show up on the video. Y'all might see it. But so fast forward, forgiveness. And I thought about Jesus, and I thought about Judas. But forgiveness, in my thinking, my perception, didn't come after the act. Forgiveness came beforehand. Jesus already knew what Judas was going to do. And if we know people, how we say we know people, then their actions and what they do to us, it really shouldn't surprise us. But the Bible tells us to always be ready for reconciliation, which is a form of, in order to reconcile, there has to be forgiveness. So you don't have to, I'm not saying you have to continue to deal with a person, but you need to be able to be in a room with that person and not feel some type of way here and not reflect it here and let it come out here. Like, if you truly forgive someone, like Jesus forgave Judas, he was, in y'all words, he was completely chill with him. Do you not know he walked around with this man for, I don't know how many days, I really don't, knowing exactly the role that Judas was going to play, and he never once treated him differently. Not once. So, because, again, he knew the role he was going to play. He knew Judas better than Judas knew himself. And no, we'll never know someone else better than, they know themselves, because that's a complete insult. Because we not omnipotent present. We're not God. We're not. But we need to position ourselves in a place of love. Because Jesus still had love for Judas. He loves everyone. And if you are truly a child of God, if we are truly children of God, as we proclaim ourselves to be, we know the word, we walk, then why do we find it difficult to walk the world in love, to speak truth in love, to display forgiveness in love? Why? I don't know that part. Besides, other than the flesh, and we're getting our feelings, and we're not dealing with what logically happened. But Jesus understood the will of the Father. Jesus understood that he was going up against flesh. He was going up against spiritual principalities. He knew that. He knew that there's the spiritual battle in the spiritual realm and the things that was manifesting on the earth. He was aware. And we, being children of God, should know. It was at Galatians where we war not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual principalities as well. And to put on the full armor of God, we should know to do that when we're dealing with people, and stay armored up all the time. This is not I'm just going to wear this armor when I'm dealing with someone new or someone that's hurt me in the past. Stay armored up at all times so that when someone hurts you, instead of it pat, 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 smacking you in the face, you can brush it off and keep moving like it never happened. Because that is what forgiveness is. It's to be able to move like it never happened. Could you imagine God not forgiving us? And every time he sees us, which is every day, when we sleep, when we not sleep, he like, tap, let that happen to her. Let that happen to her. Do that to her. Let me talk to her this way. Let me not talk to her at all. Can you imagine? I don't serve a God that's spiteful and vengeful. And neither do any of the people that I surround myself in their presence. You know, that's not the God of the Bible. Not the one that tells us to forgive 70 times 7. So when you are forgiving, that forgiveness needed to happen before you met that person. Because you should be walking in all relationships with love. You don't got to be in love with them. You have to present the agape love like God presents us. And love covers a multitude of sins. So it ain't just covering the multitude of sin that you have for your partner, your kids, your parents. It's covering the multitude of sin that you have for the people that God created for you to fellowship with. Now, I'm sitting up here telling y'all this. It's going to be hard to practice. But not. Sorry, some stalker was interrupting me. But anyway, again, this is going to be hard for me to practice. But now that I know, I'm responsible. And now that you've sat and listened, you're responsible. So tell me your thoughts. Drop them in the comments. Let me know how you're going to walk in love and forgiveness. Because Jesus told Judas, after he kissed him, go ahead and go and do what you're going to do. Sometimes the will of God has to be carried out in order for you to fulfill the prophecy, the calling, the will that he has on your life. Why are we being upset with people that hurt us in the flesh when that hurt pushes you closer to God or to your purpose? I don't know. Make it make sense for me. That's some good stuff. Make it make sense. Because I really don't know. And yeah, I'm I'm one to say I I struggle with it, because if you make me mad, cut off game strong. I ain't fooling with you. And I don't got to a point where I'm in a one and done season. I don't like that. And another day will say, oh, the Bible says guard your heart. You can still guard your heart without putting up what does it say over there? I think it's in Psalms where it says it's harder to win over a brother than whatever it is. It's the thing that surrounds the castles or whatever, and how it's hard to break through that, or a person that has a heart is like that. But yeah, um, think about what I said. Let me know. I'm up for discussion, but I won't be arguing. That's it, y'all. That's the message. Make sure you forgive your brother in advance.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. T, Shanita's big little sister, or rather, little big sister. I'm the oldest. From the psychological aspect of forgiveness, basically, people don't realize that forgiveness has two parts. You have decisional and you have emotional. As my sister Shanita was saying, we think we've convinced ourselves that we decided that we want to forgive somebody, but our actions won't line up with that. And in actuality, we haven't. So again, the process has two parts. First, you literally have to decide and say that I'm going to forgive this person. And then you have to emotionally forgive them. That might be something every day that you have to wake up and decide that I forgive them, and convince yourself every single day that you're going to move on, that you're going to forgive the person. But you also have to go through the emotional part. And that goes along with what Shanita was saying regarding your heart. People put up a wall and say that they're protecting themselves, that they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be guarding their heart. You're guarding your heart from strife, from anger, from bitterness, and things like that that come to steal, kill, and destroy. And so we have to remember in everything, our relationships and in your health, that forgiveness is a huge factor when it comes to that aspect. So it could be affecting you in ways that you don't even realize. If you have an attack in your body, you might want to check and see deep down inside, ask yourself, is there someone that I haven't forgiven? And again, with the emotional side of it, you have to possess empathy. You have to show the person mercy. And we have to remember, with grace and mercy, mercy is that thing that people don't deserve. And so we remember that for ourselves too, when we've offended people. We too need forgiveness, whether it's from a person or from God. And so we sin against God every day. We might lie to ourselves and say that we aren't, but we are. There are all kinds of things in the Bible that we commit sins against every single day. And sometimes we know that going in that we're going to do it. So imagine, us sitting here in offense against somebody and expecting God to forgive us. We have to take that same action that we would expect God to provide us with grace and mercy and provide it to others, because we're no better than the next person. Again, that goes along with the empathy part. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and really think, what would you want to happen? You wouldn't want that offense to be held against you, so don't hold offenses. With that, the decision to forgive, you have to remember that unforgiveness comes because of offenses. And so how I look at it is like a pretty little gift. Somebody might be trying to hand you this thing, and you're like, nope, I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want that in my life. I don't want no part of it. You don't have to take on offenses. Just like you can put this gift down and say, I don't want any part of it. You don't have to take it. So when people realize that state of mind when it comes to offenses, it's a lot easier to not walk around being offended by everything. Some people might call that being offended by stuff sensitive, or wearing your heart on your sleeve. I consider myself a sensitive person. But at the same time, I've done very well with that analogy since it was presented with me, or to me, with giving people the benefit of the doubt and not taking on offenses that have nothing to do with me. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, or to the offenses, that's about the other person. That has nothing to do with you. Your job is to pray for them, to forgive them. And as Shanita said earlier with Jesus and Judas, Jesus knew what Judas was going to do before Judas even knew what he was going to do. If Jesus had told Judas straight out to his face, this is what you're going to do, Judas would have denied him just like Peter did and told Jesus he was lying or something crazy to his face. But Jesus already knew the story. And sometimes we have to tap into Holy Spirit and allow it to tell us the truth about a person's intentions, their motives, or who they really are as a person. So if we walk around thinking negative things about people, about circumstances, basing things off of our previous experiences, then you're going to end up in a cycle. And that cycle is going to be never ending. And you're going to always be offended. And you're going to always be hurt. And you're going to always have this woe is me victim mentality. In order to get out of that cycle, you have to break it somewhere. Again, that shoes. You ask yourself, what would Jesus do? And you take that and you walk in love, as Shanita said. Use the fruits of the Spirit like long suffering, which is not fun. And honestly, I mean, that's just the truth. It isn't, but it's one of the virtues. And that fruit of the Spirit helps create a virtue in you and character that is Christ-like, which is what we're called to do in this world. In life, we're going to have trials. We're going to have tribulations. We're going to have weapons formed against us. But as the word says, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. If we stand on that and we don't take offense, you don't have to walk in unforgiveness. We have to forgive our neighbor and love them as we love ourselves. That's what we've been called to do. It goes back to that as well. When we are not forgiven, we probably have some self-unforgiveness going on too. Because if you look deep down inside again, you might be walking in unforgiveness because you haven't forgiven yourself about something. Or maybe even you haven't forgiven God because you're angry at him about something that happened that you don't feel like it should have happened. He works everything out for our good. Please remember that. Everything works out for our good. So you just got to trust God, lean into him, and not to your own understanding. His ways are not our ways. And take it from me as a living witness, he will definitely always work everything for your good.